Tanishq shouldn't have taken its ad out of YouTube.
I agree.
Your mic is too far, by the way. And everyone, right? Tanishq has been getting so much support, and Tanishq has been the talk of the town, basically. And everyone's been supporting Tanishq, like I just said. But let's do what we do usually. Let's talk about how the Tanishq advertisement could have been better, or where Tanishq went wrong with the advertisement. And I'm not telling there's no aspect where Tanishq went wrong. There is an aspect, which is the commercial aspect, right? You tell me, Chela, which audience would have been intrigued by the advertisement the most? And by the way, let's just explain what the advertisement is. It's just basically a Hindu woman, entering a Muslim family as a wife, and she is having this Hindu ceremony conducted for her. And that's about it.
Yeah.
But there's outrage. And that's why Tanishq could have done better. Now you tell me, Chela, which aspect or which audience would have been intrigued by this advertisement the most?
I mean, I wouldn't say intrigued, but if you are looking at Tanishq's target audience, apart from the ad, Tanishq's target audience is obviously the upper middle class people, upper middle class of the majoritarian. I mean, how do I say this?
Don't bring the government into this.
No, I'm not saying the government. God damn it, please.
No, guys, by the way, you all should know, even before the podcast started, Chela tried hundreds of ways to bring the government into this, which we are not going to do, Chela, please.
See, I didn't want to say Hindus explicitly. I just wanted to say the majority religion, okay? It just took me time to...
That is very indirect. You cannot be more indirect.
Exactly. How indirect, how sly, Chela.
See, okay, that's what I'm trying to say. What I was trying to say is that Tanishq's target audience was upper middle class Hindus, okay, at their lowest form, and obviously the rich people at their highest, okay? And I mean, it's kind of stereotypical of me to say that only Hindus are into gold. Obviously, everybody who can afford gold is into gold, and who can't afford gold are looking at gold. But what I'm trying to say is, when you ask me the question target audience, I would say upper middle class Hindus.
Did you just assume that only Hindus are rich?
I said what I said, okay? I said all religion people.
Rahul, please.
That's how Twitter backlashes work. So.
Yeah, Chela should know about that more than both of us. Okay, anyways, I was coming from a different standpoint, right? The people that are influenced, or the people that constitute most of Tanishq's target audience, are people that are over at least 30 years of age, at least 35, because till then you're not buying gold. You're not buying gold for anyone. You cannot afford to spend money on gold, right? But the audience that is intrigued by this ad the most is the youth. So basically, by making this ad, I'm not saying the social message they're sending out is wrong, but the mindset of the people that actually go to Tanishq and buy stuff from Tanishq is totally different from what this ad is trying to achieve. So because of that, I do not see how Tanishq saw an increase in sales, at least immediately, because of this advertisement. No one is going to be like, oh my god, they're promoting secularity, because the population that values secularity that much, among the people who are, the ones that usually go to Tanishq and buy something, is extremely less. If we had enough money, if 16, 17, 18-year-olds had enough money to go and buy Tanishq, we would be flocking to the store right now, because that's what we stand for. But the target... I mean, we'd rather buy stocks. We wouldn't buy gold. Capitalists out here. But...
I mean, as Dwight would say, the currency fell when the gold standard was disregarded.
That's about it. Yeah, and that's why I feel Tanishq's advertisement was a failure from a commercial standpoint.
Yeah, but then I mean, I'm not here to look at the commercial standpoint. I would rather look at the social standpoint of it, and why. I mean, it's obvious. It's the obvious answer is it shouldn't have faced backlash. But let's look at it from a different point of view. I mean, it's a pretty common point of view on Twitter, but I would say it's a different point of view from what people are looking at. People are looking at it as if how a Hindu woman was brought into a Muslim household through love jihad. But I would rather see it as like how, this ad brings out people's mindset of how they see women as property, because they keep saying if the religions were reversed, the the how do I say, the message would have been different. I don't think so. The message stays the same regardless of whether it was the Muslim daughter-in-law or a Muslim son-in-law. It doesn't matter, because when you say, oh, if it's a Muslim daughter-in-law in a Hindu household, it wouldn't have changed, because then you are still seeing the daughter-in-law as a property that is being brought into another household. So I don't think that's love jihad. Moreover, I think that's plain misogynistic, and I would say it's not love jihad, because if it was love jihad, the Hindu girl at this point would have been completely converted into a Muslim.
That's a very interesting point, actually. Even in the advertisement, and by the way, guys, there are quite a few YouTube links to watch the advertisement. I would suggest everyone you'll go watch that. The Hindu part of the woman is beautifully portrayed in the advertisement itself, and the very concept of love jihad is people bring in a woman to convert her into a Muslim, thereby increasing the Muslim population. Allegedly, that is what it is. We're staying safe here. So the very concept of, this being an example of love jihad and boycotting Tanishq, dude, what are people thinking? Honestly, like, how can you boycott Tanishq? It's Tata. You cannot boycott Tata. If Tata does something to you, you're out of the country tomorrow. You're out of the country tonight.
Tata built India, man. They're right there with, Birlas and Reliances in terms of building the nation during its early stages.
I'm surprised how Chella said Reliance. I never thought Chella would say Reliance.
But they did. They did what they did.
Yeah. So that brings another very important question, right? Are certain brands too big to be boycotted? I know this is pretty similar to, our cancel culture episode, our previous episode, where some things are just too big to be cancelled, but that's art. This is companies, right? They sell products. It's up to us to, go buy a product, and it is something which has a lot of competitors as well. We were talking about J.K. Rowling in the past episode, where she's too big to be cancelled because what she does, no one else can do. But Tanishq, that's really not the case. Others can do the same thing as well. So does it still stand? Does this argument still stand that certain companies are too big to be boycotted?
I would like to answer that by countering your point that Tanishq did that commercial, and Tanishq, the ad was bad for Tanishq in a commercial standpoint. I would disagree with that by saying that same thing happened to Nike. Okay, Nike. If I were to bring back,
it's Nike, Chella, please call it Nike.
Tomato. Okay,
no,
potato, potato.
Right
I wouldn't say potato.
Call it Nike. Right now, call it Nike.
Fine, Nike.
Thank you.
Okay, Nike. So yeah, Nike's ad with Colin Kaepernick, I don't know. I'm bad with pronunciation. Screw me. Okay, but his ad about Colin Kaepernick, where Kaepernick was suspended from the NFL for not kneeling to America's national anthem, actually gave a lot of backlash to Nike, because they were like, oh, you're supporting an anti-national in US terms. And but then what happened was, after Nike's boycott trend ended, its sales went up 6% higher than before the boycott trend even started. And I would say, from a commercial standpoint, Tanishq did a good job, because once this boycott trend ends and Tanishq is too big of a company to be cancelled, even though it has multiple competitors to it, I do think it'll come back and its sales will go even higher, especially after the pandemic ends. Pandemic, obviously there's a lot of unsurety about it, but once the pandemic ends, I'm pretty sure Tanishq could be back and even better.
And that is another, stupid element, I could say, of, this entire boycott trend, especially on Twitter. I, again, bringing up a reference from the last episode, I said, people have to start forgiving companies, forgiving entities, forgiving other people, right? Especially if you're famous and whatever you do has, so much of effect. You tend to make mistakes because you spend too much time trying to be politically correct, where you may miss a trick at times, and that happens. It's fine. People will have to start forgiving, other people, and this includes Tanishq as well. So this brings me to this point where I'm like, it really makes zero sense right now. Boycotting. Yeah, Rahul, what were you about to say?
But don't you think it's kind of sad that Tanishq has to face something without even doing something wrong? You were talking about how J.K. Rowling did something bad and someone else did something bad, but Tanishq didn't even do anything wrong, but they're facing a lot of backlash, and we live in that kind of a situation where just trying to show something nice and beautiful, but then you get boycotted in the end. The same happened with the Surf Excel ad, right?
When you come back to it, in terms of, again, you said, companies make mistakes, but at this point, it's just, companies who are trying to, I would say, maintain social harmony? Like, what is wrong with showing a Muslim and a Hindu living in harmony? What is wrong if there's interreligious marriages?
Alright, I think we're digressing too much with this. Let's get to another important thing I wanted to talk about, which is Tanishq is being boycotted on Twitter right now, which is absolutely stupid, like I said. How long do you think it will take for Tanishq to get back to normal? Because we know Tanishq is going to get back to normal. This is not going to have a long-lasting effect, and honestly, I feel Tanishq shouldn't even care about this, because this is just something, a bunch of jobless people are doing on Twitter. Yes, I will take the risk of calling them jobless, because it really makes no sense what they're doing. And if you have, something solid to, back your boycotting, I wouldn't be saying this, but there's literally nothing right now. So how much time are you giving them? I'm saying a month.
I'd say 15 to 20 days, because by then you'll have another trending hashtag and you'll want to go with that flow, right? But if you observe all of the demographics of these people boycotting and all, it's mostly people who are extremists, people who are like Hindu nation and all of that. We're not talking about government exactly, we're just talking about people with that mindset, who have that insecurity that, oh my god, we're giving off our daughters to another religion. And that's a very problematic thing. And a lot of people who don't have the time to care for it do not care for it. And these people are so volatile in nature that they even forget about it. They don't have their points strong. They don't even have a strong background as to how to back their points up. They just keep moving on. I'd like to talk about this one example where, like a few years ago, we had this instance when Coca-Cola was boycotted in Tamil Nadu. So this was when the Jallikattu protests happened. If you don't know what that is, it's like a festival that comes during Pongal where bulls are used. But people started, the PETA was like completely against it and all of that. But then people started boycotting all of these foreign firms. I don't even know how that came into place. But then it went on for like over a month. And guess what? Stock prices fell all over the place. BBC was covering it. A lot of these people were covering it. Stocks fell. We were like, all of the soft drinks were banned in Tamil Nadu for like over a month. And guess what? We were thinking, wow, this is the future. We are definitely going to go ahead without soft drinks. We're going to promote our products. But 1 month later, we saw all of these shops stocking up Coca-Cola again, Sprite again. And guess what? People forgot and they moved on. It's just so temporary and impulsive that it's not even effective anymore. So I'd say 15 days.
Exactly. And yeah, as we said, even Coca-Cola is something that's extremely big to be cancelled. Now, of course, yes, if a much smaller company was boycotted, even say for like a month, they wouldn't have enough capital, they wouldn't have enough money to, continue business, and they would run out of business. But something as big as Tanishq or Coca-Cola, or the ultimate example of boycotting, China. They're too big to be boycotted. You can't do that, guys. Stop going on Twitter and asking people to boycott Chinese products. No, we do not have alternatives for Chinese products. We are going to go without products, without mobile phones, without mixers, without grinders, without kitchen equipment. We're not going to have anything if not for Chinese products.
Instead, focus on the development where you give an alternate that is way ahead in the future. You can't do that change in like 2 days by not buying Chinese noodles. Like some of those uncles on Twitter do. They're like, I'm not going to have chicken Manchurian because it's Chinese. That's how stupid we are.
I have legit seen people stop eating from Chinese restaurants because they wanted to boycott China. Okay, like no, it's just weird. I would say boycotting China is actually very effective than I would say boycotting Coca-Cola or Tanishq, because this is a whole nation we are talking about versus a brand. But India, in our specific scenario in India, it's going to be really hard. If it was any other country which was which wasn't a huge consumer of Chinese products, like say any Scandinavian country like Norway or Switzerland, I would say boycotting China would have a very huge impact on their local economy in terms of their relationship with China. But India and USA are just too much of are just too huge of consumers of Chinese products, that if you boycott your Chinese products, it's going to affect you adversely rather than affecting the Chinese economy itself.
And more than just us being consumers of all of these products, all of these companies give us jobs. We have so many investors from China that are like completely with our Indian companies as well. And another example is Zomato, right? People lost their jobs because they wanted to boycott their Chinese products. And this was during a COVID situation, and they were like, no, I'm definitely going for India. At the result of what? not being able to provide for your family. That's just downright stupid, right?
And guys, what was that one thing we boycotted before the independence? Something we boycotted, no? As Indians?
Salt? No.
So, but we didn't boycott salt. No, we boycotted something, no? Something we boycotted, okay? And
God, was so bad with history.
yeah, that's fine.
I think we boycotted a particular law. Simon.
Yeah, we just asked Simon to go back. Yeah, something like that. I suddenly thought of that because back then, right, we didn't have social media, we didn't have anything, we didn't have immediate information. So if you wanted to plan boycotting something, it had to be systematic. And it had to be one solid plan. Right now, it's all just a hashtag. It's just a few taps with the finger and you're boycotting something. And because of that, it's become extremely impulsive. It's become full of emotion. Like right now, I hate something. I'm going to boycott it immediately. 5 seconds. Yes, I've boycotted it. Yes, I've done something in life. No, that's not how boycotting works. If you do that, the boycotting is going to become something negligible just as fast as it became something, something worthy of talking about.
I think this is very common in terms of Twitter trends, okay? These are like tantrum trends. They just happen for no reason. People do it, but then in the end, it's up to no effect.
Look at Chella slightly plugging the title of the podcast. Okay, let's go.
It's called Tanishq and Other Tantrum Trends, okay? Check it out. Anyway, but yeah, as I said, these are all tantrum trends on Twitter because for example, they boycotted multiple films during the CAA and NRC protests, but nothing affected the films too much. And the same thing is going on right now. You boycott everything that comes up which doesn't agree with your ideological point of view. It's only going to be you who's going to be boycotting at the end of the day. It's not going to be anything significant unless you put in the time and effort to actively boycott it.
Yeah, and these tweets are so impulsive that they're not even open to other opinions. It's basically, if you look at any thread, it's like, you shut up, you shut up, you shut up. And that's all they do in terms of retweeting. And all of this boycotting, like he said, it dies down easily and there's no method in which you approach it. We don't even have the background knowledge to go about it or the means of actually executing something properly.
And again, it's lockdown right now. It's not lockdown exactly, but it's quarantine right now. There's not a lot of money left with the middle class. And this makes it a lot easier to boycott Tanishq because we don't need Tanishq as much right now. Imagine, okay, same thing. If Tata Motors had come out with a similar ad, same umbrella of the same company, it's Tata, Tanishq is Tata, Tata Motors is Tata. If Tata Motors had, come out with such an ad, we need Tata Motors, we need budget cars. Not everyone's buying a Volkswagen, not everyone's buying a Skoda. We need a budget car company as well. Especially
Maruti boys, Maruti, that's where it is.
Hey, Maruti's. Can I say Maruti's trash? People have gotten it. It's fine.
I just had a random thought, okay? So when PUBG was also banned, with respect to all of these Chinese products being banned, I just thought, since all of these people are young people who play PUBG and it didn't even affect all of the older people who are actually like completely going for it and all of that, just imagine what would have happened if Candy Crush Saga was Chinese. I don't know if it's Chinese or not. If all of the uncles and aunties were not allowed to play Candy Crush Saga anymore, would they still be into it?
I mean,
it's a matter of personal benefit more than nationalism at this point. They're just a bunch of hypocrites.
Nationalism is basically a combination of many people's personal benefit. That's all. If something that is remotely beneficial to the nation supports you, you will go full on with that and you'll call yourself nationalistic because of that remote benefit that gives the nation. That is all what nationalism is.
See, okay, listen. Nationalism aside, think of what Rahul just said. Remember how TikTok and PUBG were banned? Who did they boycott? It affected I would say, the people most active on social media, the youngsters. But who did they boycott at that point? Was there a trending hashtag called hashtag boycott Modi? Did I miss something? No. I don't think anybody boycotted anything over the ban of TikTok and PUBG. And that's something that is affecting I would say a lot of people of the younger ages, especially because there are quite a few people who are actually getting into PUBG in terms of income in YouTube and other stuff.
Yeah, guys, I think we're digressing too much in this podcast. But it's fine. I mean, that's something we do. Yeah, man, to be honest, let's just say it. Tanishq, they should not have, brought up this hashtag, and honestly it's just proving the stupidity of the entire Twitter community. It's just proving how impulsive the entire Twitter community is. See, I'm not saying, we're not here to judge what should be boycotted and what shouldn't. If you all think Tanishq should be boycotted, yeah, might as well, yeah, go for it. It's fine, it's your choice. it's totally within your rights to boycott something, but do it systematically. That's all I'm saying. Like,
If you're boycotting something, do it right.
Like, you are taking so much efforts to boycott something. You are putting so much effort, typing from your phone screen, sitting at home in your AC room. So much effort you are putting in. At least make it worthwhile. No, don't make it something temporary. This is not a relationship. This is not a teenage relationship. This is an actual boycott that you're trying to do, which has a difference in the country. Try doing it properly.
If he were to look at you today, he would be embarrassed of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
The revolution has lost its meaning, my boys.
All right. Yeah, this was a fairly short podcast. I think let's keep it at that. Let's not digress a lot more than this. Guys, do you all have anything to say before we scoot? We have a CSK match today. We're recording on a Saturday and it's CSK versus RCB. So I need to go get my yellow t-shirt on and I need to go sit in front of the TV. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine.
Chances are if CSK doesn't win, people are going to boycott it.
if CSK doesn't win, guys, our next podcast is going to be a CSK roast.
You know what? This is going to be the hashtag you're going to take from this podcast. If CSK loses, hashtag boycott IPL. There you have it.
Sure, yeah, boycott IPL. Any finishing thoughts, guys? Do you all have anything to say? If not, Chela, do the honors.
You sure?
Yeah, just do it. Okay. This is the fourth time, guys. You don't have to ask every time you're doing it. Just do it. Just do it. Do the honors.
I think on that note, it's time to cut the cameras.